Paul is our God. That's a good way to start a recording. The things you learn when you're doing a podcast.
Yeah. Hey, welcome to Hear Us Out. I'm Paul.
And I'm Patrick.
And we're going to be talking about the saturation of superhero films for the last probably 2 decades.
Yeah, it's getting on top of people now. I'm hearing a lot more disquiet. This is being filmed before Avengers Endgame comes out.
Yeah.
And let's face it, not since maybe the late 70s when Star Wars came out, has there been a film that's going to have cues like this around the block and as much of a massive kind of pop culture effect.
Yeah, well, we both tried to get tickets to the double bill Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah.
And let's just say that, the website I was going to was I've never experienced internet connections like that before since the 90s when I tried to look up porn.
Oh, right.
And you're just like, oh, it's loading.
It's loading.
I can't wait.
I'm 14, I can wait.
And then you get a knock on the door and you're just like, no!
Unfortunately, I grew up in a magazine era. It was very different. Very, very different.
Yeah, to go to the wood stuff.
Let's not get into that on tape. Now, I would say we should probably get back on topic of, are you sick of superhero movies? Honestly, I think I will probably answer that question first, if that's okay with you, Paul. I'll go for myself. I am not, because I don't classify anything as superhero, sci-fi, whatever, I was sick of bad movies in the kind of, there was a bad period in the 90s where there was a lot of bad movies being made and getting a lot of success. English Patient, I'm looking at you. And I know people hate me for saying that. I'm fine if comic book movies are in vogue, as long as other movies are still being made and they're all good. And I'm assuming that's pretty much the way you'd feel about the whole comic book movie takeover.
Yeah, I'm a little I really like the Marvel kind of thing because they keep bringing out better and better kind of storylines and stuff like that. They're trying new things. DC are trying to build their universe and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I'm
trying hard.
I'm more interested in their story because I like to see them kind of going, maybe this will work, maybe that will work kind of thing. And then when they bring out a film, then I'm like, this is the one. Like Shazam's coming out.
Yeah, and that's going to be good, I think.
Yeah, and Wonder Woman was really, really good.
Yeah, and Aquaman worked for them, I guess is the way to put it.
Aquaman was a very camp, very fantastical, kind of lovely piece after Wonder Woman and stuff. And after the Justice League.
And this year you're going to have another version of the Joker running around in the same thing. I think the DC Marvel thing is interesting because what Marvel have done is unprecedented.
Yeah.
So Marvel have changed the game, and I think in a great way, because all they really did was invent a new game. Nobody's done, 11 years and 21 movies, did you say?
11 years, 21 movies.
Nobody's done that. James Bond has in the 20s, but they're not connected in the same way. I don't think there's anything outside of TV that's ever been connected in this way in a serialized movie franchise that has interwoven character arcs and plot lines. So it's incredible. And if for nothing else, if you're out there right now and you're going, yeah, but I hate comic book movies, don't think of them as comic book movies. Think of this as just a type of storytelling that hasn't been done before, and it happens to be using that. If you do like superheroes and comics, which we do, thank your lucky stars that you're alive now, because I remember what it was like in the late 80s and early 90s, and you were hoping somebody would finally get it right. Because the Donner Superman years were great, but there was such a drop-off then.
We had Captain America done in the 90s,
badly,
or 90s and 80s. You had the Punisher movie also done in the 90s and 80s. Then you had the Thomas Jane one, which was
the Thomas Jane Punisher,
which was really good.
Yeah.
Which goes, and then you also had the Bruce. You had Ang Lee's Incredible Hulk.
Ang Lee's Hulk, yeah.
With Bruce.
David Bana. Eric Bana? David Bana? Eric Bana.
And then you had the Incredible Hulk with Ed Norton, which is included in the chronological order.
Yeah, it's film number 2. It's after Iron Man, isn't it? I think.
I don't know.
Yeah, somewhere.
So the reason we brought this up was because both of us have been reading articles about how I don't know. Movie connoisseurs are kind of saying that these kind of films are belittling or maybe causing film to be a little bit more of a joke.
Yeah, and diminishing the idea of the artistic merit of film.
Yeah,
I don't buy it.
And you kind of I get your point in a sense that we're getting more and more Marvel or more and more superhero films.
Yeah.
But the thing is that you're still doing 3 billboards outside Missouri. You're still doing Green Book. You're still doing Birdman.
Yeah.
You're still doing great films. And I think what it does is it ups the game for a lot of other movies, not because they're going head to head. It's just if you are getting such an influx of new audiences with comic book movies, that you're going to try and make your film as good as possible to maybe swerve them away.
Yeah,
to watch your kind of stuff as well,
and it's putting money in the coffers. It's studios cannot exist on people going, oh, I think that'll be a brilliant film, but I'm not going to go out and see it because it doesn't look like a cinema film. You have to have in the history of cinema, in the history of modern recent history of cinema, you need people to go out and have your $1 billion movie, so that studio has money to make not just the next $1 billion movie, which they will. And they will make their next big blockbuster, but they spend the money to make other things as well. If those studios don't make the money on the big things that everybody goes to, the stuff that film nerds like us go to won't get a look in because there won't be money there to do it. People are going, oh, they're all comic book movies now. Are they? Has anybody watched, let's say, the Oscars when there was a big, oh my God, Black Panther's the first, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, so if they were all comic book movies, that wouldn't have been a big deal. You've got your 3 billboards and things like you've mentioned. Those films are getting money from studios and distributors who are kept in business by huge popular films.
Yeah.
What else was a popular film? Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Would that be a superhero film? Do people want to pull it apart? Was Die Hard terrible because the guy in it was very heroic in maybe a more than human way in once or twice? Good storytelling is fine.
Yeah, no, as long as they keep writing well, and they're not just pandering to the lowest common denominator kind of thing.
Cashing in to sell toys.
Yeah, well, that's a little bit hard because
Well, just Transformers crossed my mind.
I understand. But there is some negatives that we've gotten and some positives that we've gotten from the comic book world that we haven't discussed. One of them is. I believe that the comic book world's phenomenon has tried to or has slowly killed off the making sequels that are bad.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Kind of thing. Yeah. I think it's because Marvel and which goes to another case DC, when you're now making a sequel to an already set thing, you're looking at Marvel and seeing that they've done 21 movies and they've mostly 1 or 2 being not great. But it means that you have to work on it. But I don't believe John Wick would have been, John Wick's second one would have been as good if it didn't have to compare to movies that have already done their sequels so well.
Yeah, so
that kind of way.
Yeah, the excuse of it's a sequel, people don't expect it to be as good is gone a little bit.
Yeah,
people are putting a little more care and attention into their sequels because everybody wants to build a franchise. Everybody's secretly hoping to build a franchise, even if it's only for 3 films. A trilogy used to be an exception, and then all of a sudden quadrology. But because of what's happened with Marvel, people are like, well, we can build, which means they do want to be more careful so that they don't kill off their property.
Yeah,
which is a good thing.
Yeah, it feels like they're putting in the effort more and more, and it's now, to me, it's getting rarer and rarer to see sequels that are not as. I don't mind it if it's a step below the original.
The original, yeah.
But like when it's several steps below,
I know
you're
what you
kind
mean.
of like, what the hell? Why were you doing this? Like Terminator. I think Terminator Genesis was the last straw for that franchise, in the fact that now we've got Ridley Scott going back and doing Dark Fate,
Yeah.
like, you know, kind of thing. And I think that, like with Pandora and the Avatar movies, I think that James Cameron he's gonna have to dig deep and kind of build his world out even more.
Yeah.
Like, I think people are seeing that Marvel and DC are doing well with their sequels and stuff like that, that they have to put in the effort, because then they can sustain the audience.
I think that's a really good point, actually.
Now, the downside
Give it.
is the rise of the redos.
Yeah. Because the
redos and the live action adaptations.
yeah, so the kind of the addict style thing of theater production companies going, we can't let this franchise die, we can't let this property go, we're going to use it, we're going to use it up, it'll be fine, we'll dust it off, we'll do it. You know, people go to another Ghostbusters film even if we probably shouldn't have released it till we fixed it, which they did in 2016.
Yeah, like the writing in that was more it felt more the fact that they were trying to cash in on the pop culture storm.
Yeah, everybody's going back to stuff from the 80s. Let's get it out there before I'm annoyed because people are looking at my generation going, let's get all the stuff that they'll spend money on out before they're too old to care or they're too old and die. Like, people are quite literally looking at me going, you're a cash cow but not for much longer. So we're going to get all that 80s goodness that you remember, and we're going to use it up now on you. Because it's going to start happening more and more with 90s and late 90s stuff very soon.
Yeah, because I get your point, because like I'm fearing the fact that they might redo like Back to the Future, or they might do a fourth Back to the Future, or they might do an up-to-date version of the Goonies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or kind of like
a lot of unnecessary things essentially is what you think they might do. Because that is unnecessary.
Like E.T. 2 and stuff. Like,
yeah, well, here's a good example. And again, I want this out there. I like the Star Wars films. I like the Star Wars universe. And I like Lucasfilm, etc. Solo. And we had this conversation in depth. When I heard they were doing a Solo movie and it was going back and it was going to be an origin story, blah, blah, blah. All I could say was, why? What's to be gained here? You've got lore and myth, and you're about to just go, I know, we're gonna give it all away to you now. And that's what they ended up doing, and it backfired. Similarly with Rogue One, I was like, what's the need? You're now making you're extending the franchise on, you're making new movies. Tell new stories. And I know we disagree slightly around the Rogue One, but
I liked Rogue One. I didn't think it was
fine.
I didn't think it was a story that needed to be told.
That's the thing. Unnecessary.
I did enjoy the story that they did tell.
I enjoyed it too. I did enjoy it too, but I felt it fell into that category of unnecessary when they could have done other things.
It also irks me. I know this is a side pick. It also irks me that they did Rogue One really well, and then they did Han Solo so abysmally.
Yeah,
kind of thing. It just it doesn't matter.
I think it was the cynical nature of the Han Solo thing that meant it was at least with Rogue One there was going to be nobody, from the original, from your thing that was going to be main cast.
You know that the ending of that is not the original ending.
Oh, they didn't live.
They had because
many Bothans died to bring us this information.
They had another. Yeah, they had a few other endings where some of them survived and stuff like that. But yeah, no. So yeah, it irks me, especially with you got Beauty and the Beast.
Oh yeah.
Which goes. You've got Dumbo, which is coming out soon. You got Lord of the Rings. Sorry, not Lord of the Rings. The Lion King.
Yeah, Aladdin.
You got Aladdin. Now, like, I love those cartoons. As many people do, and I feel like this is unnecessary because I think they're kind of cashing in on already well-known stories that are really good.
Yeah.
And trying to do them in a different way. Now, I don't mind them trying to do it in a different way.
No.
It's just that, it really feels like they're just trying to cash in on people's hearts, and they don't. Now, the Dumbo film is a little bit one on the cusp because they've changed the story a bit.
Well, I'm assuming they're going to have changed some of it because some of it won't have aged well from a social point of view.
We're looking at you, gang of crows.
Yeah. And also, you pointed out to me once the trippy elephant
Oh,
thing. Yeah,
Elephants on Parade. That
Elephants
song.
on Parade.
I really
Yeah.
hope they have it in the movie, just because
Yeah.
it's like the songwriter like took, or the writers took LSD and was just like, in that moment we're writing down some weird trippy like.
Well,
Man.
we're literally getting off topic when it comes to talking about elephants and superheroes. The elephant in the room from the superhero thing is what you have to remember about the superhero movie and this oversaturation. For years, you've been watching movies not knowing they were based on comic properties or graphic novel properties. With things like Black Mirror and that now that are so popular, consider that people will watch that. But if you said, "Did you know The Crow was a graphic novel? Did you know?" A lot of things like Sin City. Obviously, people are it wears it on its sleeve a little bit more. But people have been watching comic-based properties for years and not known that they were comic-based properties. Because not everything
Yeah.
comes from DC, not everything comes from Marvel. Dark Horse and a few others have had movies along the way. Not everything has been Superman, Batman, or
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Yeah.
You've got which got Priest, which is a
Mhm.
Paul Bettany.
Yep.
That's based on The Priest, which is a manga actually.
Mhm.
You've got Kick-Ass, which is obviously a comic book
Mhm.
movie, but you've got like John Wick, which I believe was
It
a
was
short comic book. I
Yeah.
think.
And like there you go. There's a perfect example. Superhero is a weird phrase, so a lot of people still think cape and tights, and that's your own prejudice at this stage. With the number of movies that have been made, if you haven't been able to catch a superhero movie in the last 20 years that hasn't had somebody in a cape and tights, then I don't know what you've been watching, because the vast majority of stuff is Iron Man being an example, not a superhero. Uh, Billionaire playboy, some philanthropist, his great line, but basically a really good engineer.
Yeah, but like the other thing is that it's not with the current day movies like that. It hasn't been in the fact that these are all like, stand up amazing people like Superman. It's the fact is that these are people. They're humans.
Yeah.
They've got human emotions. They're human traits. So like you got Tony Stark, who's really good, the mechanic,
Yeah.
but he has PTSD from he's got horrible remembrance of Thanos being in his head.
Yeah.
You've got which is Steve Rogers, in the fact that he's in a completely different world, constantly remembering about his his past. You've got Thor, who's like gone through a whole lot of stuff,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Like these characters are broken in certain ways that it makes them more interesting.
Oh yeah, they've taken them off the page in more than 2 dimensions. Like they really are. They're doing a great job on that front. And a lot of people, I think, there's the other side of it. A lot of people are like, "Oh well, superhero stuff. I remember watching Superman the original, and sure, that's the way it should be." It's like, really, some people don't like the change. They're like, but they're trying to make it too deep, or they're trying to make it too nuanced,
Too dark.
Well, imagine space movies, as they once would have been called, sci-fi, back when it was all, oh well, I want to you'll have a spaceship and it'll fly around, and then somebody made Alien,
Yeah.
and Ridley Scott said with Alien, yeah, you're in space, but that's not really the point of why you're watching this right now. Just think of it that way. Somebody took what it was and did more with it, and that's a good thing. Now, do I understand that people are like, oh, but every week it's like there's another one. It's going to be Captain Marvel, then Shazam, then Hellboy, then it's going to be Avengers Endgame, and then after that they're going to start introducing more. Yeah, they are. But like telenovelas and Coronation Street and all these TV shows that are on all the time that I don't watch. Wherever you are in the world, there's probably a soap opera of some sort that is played almost daily. Do you know how I don't watch them? By not watching them. I've never understood this. Oh, but I hate that there's so much of it. Well, if it's not for you, there's a whole load of Justin Bieber music apparently. It's not for me. I'll give you a go, Justin. You seem like an alright dude. A lot of stuff I seem to catch about you. You maybe have some issues, but like, I'm sure you're a really nice dude. I haven't tried your music for long enough to know if I like it, but I'm certainly not going to say it's terrible because I haven't really listened. I ended up in Justin Bieber jumping.
Yeah, that was an interesting thread.
Yeah.
Look, we understand that people are saying, we're being saturated with movies and stuff like that. But the thing is that, like, as long as they're still making them good,
Yeah.
then, I still understand people wanting to go to them. Look at, like, as I said, look at DC. a lot of their stuff is falling on its ass, and it's because the writing hasn't been like, amazing.
And it's exciting because they're trying new things. I think that's the
the
point that you made that floored me that I hadn't thought of. Is that's why DC's exciting. They're having to try new things.
Yeah, it's
because it wasn't a success straight away.
Yeah, which is good because they need to rewrite everything. They have to try and change everything up. Like they're breaking away from their kind of nitty gritty as much, slightly in certain ways, and then they're also diving deeper into it and stuff, which is great.
From
Marvel,
Shazam to Joker.
Yeah, and Marvel's kind of staying in this level kind of playing field of its own, which is nice. But like as I said, if you're feeling that you're getting saturated, there are still amazing movies being made.
Yeah.
Like, and like as recently as we've done with Attorney, there's lots of films that have already been made that I haven't we hadn't touched.
That's true. That is very, very true.
And we've gone back and watched them, and they're fantastic and stuff. And it's probably because of movies like the Marvel franchise and everything like that has kind of gone. Like is probably one of the reasons why we done this, we've done Hear Us Out, is because we talked about them a lot.
That's true, actually.
So like it's brought up a whole bunch of things.
Now, we are not like, this is not a comic related channel. It's not a comic movie channel. It's not any of that. They are part of the entertainment industry. That's why we're talking, a big part, and that's why we are talking about them. But we talk about, like, anytime we talk about our favorite films, they're not the first films to necessarily come up. Like Jaws comes up pretty quickly for me.
Event Horizon.
Event Horizon comes up for Paul because he's trying to scare me, and I think he's going to wear my skin someday. But
not the ship.
Okay, yet.
And not Sam.
Neil.
Yeah.
I'm glad I got his name. I was about to get stuck. But yeah, we're covering a lot of different stuff, and it's going to be part of it. But please don't ever turn off because you think, oh God, they're talking about that again. If we were talking about horror movies, you wouldn't maybe say the same thing. You'd just go, well, this week it's about horror. We're going to have our own opinions and our own take on it, and it's not going to be through that lens. I don't think there is a superhero saturation. I think it's the thing in vogue right now with the wider populace as well as people of a certain interest.
Yeah.
And it's because the quality's been good. That's going to pass. But I hope it doesn't take the whole movement with it.
No.
I'm happy for it not to be at the top, but I hope this is a wave that continues for a long time.
Yeah, like I'm going back to your point of it's generating money for studios. It is currently the engine to allow things to be done, which is great.
Yep.
So like, and I get that the advertisement side is a little bit, can get too much and stuff, but like
that happens in all types of movies.
That is the problem with those kind of things, because Star Wars comes up every now and again, and the advertisement for that is bombers, and then you've got Marvel who's just attacking you all the time with advertisement, DC and everything like that. I get it, but like I don't find it the fault of those movies. I find it that you're not getting to see other films. It's the fact is that you're not looking hard enough.
Yeah,
in a way. This is just my opinion, and the kind of thing that you're not looking hard enough for the other films. Like we've been, like as I said, going back to Green Book and everything like that. We've been looking into them, and stuff like that. And they're not.
Like if you didn't like Titanic, it was tough to live through the Titanic year if you didn't like it. But did you go down to the port and shout at the ferry? Where you going? You know what? I hate these boat films. It makes no sense. But hey, look, each to their own.
Yeah.
So I think we'll pretty much. That covers where we're at it, but everybody can have their own.
Do you just want to say your closing thoughts, your little snippet, one sentence closing thoughts on the matter of comic book movies and their saturation? We'll each do one, and then we'll close it off completely.
My final thought on it is good storytelling is good storytelling, and we spent a lot of years with people picking on comic book or superhero franchise ideas and going, oh well, it's just one of those. Then people started doing it well enough that it became legitimized. And I think that's a good message to send to everybody in movie making. If you make it good enough, no matter what it's about, then, an audience will find it because the industry will help an audience find it. That applies to look at the resurgence in things like Get Out with horror. We're all hoping for whatever we like to become popular. If the people out there who are making what you like, if they do it well enough, it's going to be the next popular thing, and that's a good thing. I think that's the way it should be.
My closing thought is I I think with this kind of thing, it's shown that you can build an interlaced, interconnected movie universe really well. And like, I like to see that done more in different aspects and everything like that. Because it's great to see 21 movies, really well connecting, like in different kind of ways, even with the little kind of short, one shot parts and stuff like that, which are great to increase connectivity. Like, I just think it's a smart way of building a really good movie universe, and I think a lot of people are going to look into this and try do their own. And I'm interested in seeing the new stories that they come up with, and how they kind of lace a massive long one between a load of movies, not just the trilogy kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I understand the bad to it as well, in certain respects. And like, as long as it seems like we're not moving that direction. And the fact is that we're cheapening cinema.
Yeah.
It's the fact is that this is a thing that's currently in vogue, as you
In
said.
vogue, yeah.
But it increases storytelling and increases everything well and stuff. And there's still fantastic movies being made, like, that aren't related to these things. So, like, I think it's the one another golden age in cinema, and I think that has also driven the new golden age in TV.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
I think they fed off each other and fed into each other. And you know who the winner at the end of the day is? Us, all of us. No matter if what was popular right now was something that I didn't like, that'd be fine, because it's feeding the engine, and it's upping everybody's game. Have you noticed how good everything seems to be getting, and how much or how little tolerance there is for just phoning it in and doing the bad stuff? That's where we need to get. If you look back at the history of cinema and TV, there was an awful lot of, well, you'll watch it anyway.
Because it has these names in it and it's done by these people.
Yeah, and that's less tolerated now.
Yeah, like, so, I think we'll leave it up there.
Yeah, I think it's positive enough to say, look, if you're feeling superhero fatigue, just look the other way for a little bit. If you're put off by the idea of superhero stuff, I recommend you just give it a little go and don't think of it as superhero stuff. It's the same way I've tried to do it with costume drama. I still find it difficult to get into that particular genre, but if it ever becomes really popular, it's because it'll have got a lot better, and then I'll have to give it another go too. So let us know your thoughts. I'd love to hear people's take out there. How do you feel? Are you pro, against?
Yeah, are you fatigued about it? Which is, if you're fatigued, have you gone out to find, the other, like, gemstones within the rough of indie films, or, like, little less known films or anything? Or, are you fully on board, kind of like, full steam ahead to the end game, kind of thing?
I don't like the way you did that during the end game. Yeah, so on that note, your turn.
Like, subscribe, share, and as always, we really do like to hear about what you think, what about either our topic or some feedback about us. I've been Paul,
and I've been Patrick,
and we've been Hear Us Out.
We'll see you next time. Excelsior.
Dirtani.
A little nod to Stan Lee's No Harm, I guess.
No.
Good man, Stan.